Everybody, I'm Ryan, and recently I top 4'd a standard challenge, and I wanted to walk you through the tournament. Now, this is not meant to be a show-off video. In fact, I made quite a few mistakes. This is an analysis for me, because I like watching through my games and trying to sort of correct my plays. And I just want to take you along for the ride. Now, I'm going to spoil a little bit. In top 4, I lost to a misclick, which feels really bad. And so we're just going to watch that at the end. So you can kind of see what's going on. There's not a lot of decisions that I made, but this is the deck that I played. It's a domain deck that I'm affectionately calling Zur Scam. Basically, it takes the old standard domain shell, plays a bunch of the overlords, which are powerful in and of themselves, and then has a really cool nut hand where you can play Zur Eternal Schemer and man up one of the overlords to make it hexproof, lifelink, death touch. And then even if there are impending counters still on it, it still gets the attack triggers. So it's kind of like abusing the wording of the cards. Plus you can man up the other enchantments like Leyline Binding and whatnot. It's pretty powerful, felt really, really good. And we'll see if it's good in future, like standard, with foundations. It'll probably need to play red in foundations because of like Burst Lightning. Like it's just too good not to play, but we'll see. That being said, let's jump right into round 1. Round 1, we kept a fine hand. We have like a pretty cool Overlord Scroll Shift combo, and we can survive until then with Herd Migration, which is kind of cool. We get Duress with Herd Migration gone. That's like fine. Also hit up the Beanstalk, which feels great. Unfortunately, we have 2 Servile lands in our hand, but also fine. Getting our hand kind of torn apart here. We keep that Overlord on top, even though we don't have access to double blue, just because it's just so good. And if we hit double blue with this extra Servile land, it's even better. We have another Overlord that we kept on top that we can actually play and start drawing an insane amount of cards with Up the Beanstalk. Them taking their turn 3 off is just nuts for us as well. I hit Glissa. I decided to just play the Overlord here because you can just chump block Glissa, and then the Scroll Shift combo or even untap Sunfall are both very powerful things. Now I get hit with double removal spell for Glissa to be able to connect and deal with my Overlord. I think that's still decently in my favor. Doesn't make it hurt any less though. Still hurting for double blue. I decided to get rid of the Glissa with Sunfall. We also get to draw some cards. Kind of punished for just playing that basic, even though I knew we were going to draw cards with Sunfall, so I need to work on my sequencing just a little bit. Things aren't looking super duper until we hit that second blue. However, hitting this Up the Beanstalk after they dealt with that one is pretty good. Overlord. And then they concede to this Overlord and drawing more cards and whatnot because they just hemorrhage too much value. Game 2, we are up a game. I think this is a really good matchup, by the way. I have to mulligan once. And, this is a fine hand. I think Elspeth Smite's actually pretty cool against this deck because it deals with Glissa, and Glissa's like, connecting a few times with Glissa is sort of how this deck beats me. This is kind of weird though, because like I felt like I have to get lost the Caustic Bronco because it triggers when it attacks, but then we have Elspeth Smite on the untap as long as you don't get duressed or anything, so all reasonably decent. We also turned on Leyline Binding is not turned on yet, unfortunately. But we also smite the Glissa, which is pretty powerful. They just draw a card and then play Mosso Dread Knight. So we're feeling pretty good. They just take this hit, not a big deal. Unfortunately, Fro Black is able to deal with the Up the Beanstalk. But I'm still feeling good, especially if we draw a land here. And we drew the land, which means we just like... Oh, why didn't I Sunfall? I guess making board presence is pretty powerful. Make them overextend into the Sunfall. I think it might have been correct to Sunfall there, though, the more I think about it. And then the opponent misclicked. Unfortunately, as you can see in the chat. Yeah. Where they just played Nissa and then passed the turn rather than activating. They were going to deal with the Overlord, but instead I untapped and drew Zur, and then I can just Zur man up the Overlord. And then jam with the Overlord to deal with Nissa, make more guys and all that stuff, gain a whole bunch of life. It's just disgusting. Unfortunate way to lose. I mean, he was just gonna deal with this. I was gonna deal with Nissa. I would have drawn the Zur, probably just like Leyline Binding the Nissa, play Zur, untap, man up Leyline Binding, start jamming. It's tough, but opponent conceded, and we are 1-0. Round 2, we get paired up against the Gruul aggro deck. Sand isn't great. It's a little slow. Decided to keep the Up the Beanstalk on top. Opponent's having a slow start without paying a 1-drop, so like I figured it might have time, chance of drawing into more stuff, maybe. Draw another Sunfall. It's looking like we're in trouble here. Getting hit for right around 1 million. I can't play Zur, and I figure I'm pretty much dead this turn, you know, more than likely. So we get some blockers with this Overlord, you know, and then they Seek the Beast, hit some cards. It's just, I'm just way too far behind. It's just so over. Yeah, and that's lethal. I just concede. Game 2, we are down a game. Keep a pretty decent hand. You know, we can draw cards with Herd Migration and fix our mana. Not on my watch on Leyline Binder, they're both powerful. We also have the Overlord Zur Nut. All pretty powerful things. We even draw the Temporary Lockdown, which feels really, really good. And so I just take this hit, and then just Herd Migration. Probably should have grabbed that second white source, but I decide that, you know, their hand isn't so powerful. I let them extend their board a little bit more and just like advance my board rather than doing stuff. I still think I should have grabbed a Plains there just for the option, but decide to ship the Get Lost. We're gonna play our Temporary Lockdown, and then next turn we can play Zur and man up if we want to. Play Zur, man up. We also have the Everywhere for the Leyline Binding, gain a whole bunch of life, and we are in great shape. Yeah, we deal with the Sunspine Link so we can continue gaining life, and we win. In game 3, I have to mulligan a hand, keep a Temporary Lockdown hand, which is kind of nice. I'm still really worried about it. You know, we can even play the Overlord. They play nothing on 1, which feels really good. And then just jam with the Challenger. Now I'm really hoping that they have a creature-based hand, so this Temporary Lockdown on 3 is good. They don't, so I just decided to play the Overlord, just kind of draw into more stuff. We hit the Zur, so like, you know, I'm feeling kind of okay as long as you don't get hit for 1 million. Unfortunately, Sunspine Lynx is real good. I have to, just to stem the bleeding a little bit, I have to Temporary Lockdown away the thing. And then they just jam into Sunspine Lynx, and I go to 1. I can't gain any life, so I just Sunfall out away and cross my fingers. But they have the manland, so, you know, I die. So we are 1-1. So in round 3, my opponent never showed. So 2-1. Round 4. We mulligan once, keep a sort of fine hand, maybe. Did some aggressive surveilling there. Really need the green source. Maybe I should have gone to 5 off of this. I'm not entirely sure, but we hit the green source and we're feeling very good, even after this Deep Cavern Bat. But we just get lost to Deep Cavern Bat. They get to see our hand. Hey, we hit the green source. Beautiful. And we're feeling awesome. Feeling so good. If we had another land, we get the Zur Nut, but they have, so Deep Cavern Bat, excuse me, has to take Zur, and now we can untap an Overlord, or Miss Overlord of the Mistmores, which is just disgusting. And now we just start like having these impending Overlords. Next turn, we're gonna Overlord again. All very, very powerful things. Little worried about this Shieldred. You know, just dealing too much damage. I decided to let the Shieldred hit just to have a bunch of insects. And and we hit our Leyline Binding, so now we're actually feeling really good. It's possible I could have attacked with one insect there, but I was a little worried about our removal spell and them drawing more cards off of Gix, because I think this Leyline Binding needs to be pointed at Shieldred. Yeah, I decided to save my creatures with this Leyline Binding and just let Gix hit. Feels a little bad, but drawing that Zur just kind of seals it up. Unfortunately, our mana was such that we could not man up anything with Overlord no matter how he tapped. But we do man up an Overlord and he gets Death Tox Hex with Lifelink. And we have the flyers. So we're doing okay. And now we can man up the Overlord, jam with both Overlords. They have Lifelink, they're gonna make a million guys. And we have this Leyline Binding to like do things if we want to, so now we're just looking so pretty. And fun fact, this White Overlord is actually bigger, even though there's no impending things. So I did make a mistake there. I totally should have Leyline Binding the Gix because I didn't notice they had enough mana to activate Gix. Fortunately, they did not hit anything relevant off the activated Gix, but just in case, I definitely should have just like main phase during my turn hit the Gix, but that's fine. Game 2, we keep a decent hand. Up the Beanstalk. Temple Lockdown up the Beanstalk's kind of a non-bow, but if we need to cast it, then we need to cast it. We have the Up the Beanstalk. Easy. Into Overlord combo, which is nice. This Fairy Mastermind's real good. Like real good. Decide to just pass, see if they extend the board anymore. If not, then we just get Lost Fairy Mastermind. If they do, then we can untap Temporary Lockdown. We play Preacher. I decided to just get rid of the Fairy Mastermind. Preacher triggers on attack, so it doesn't really matter. And we have the Sunfall, so we're just gonna like untap Sunfall and just hope that's good enough. We hit the Zur, so of course we have to go for the Nut Hand. They go for the Throat It and go for the Throat That, so that's kind of icky. But we forced their hand in that, so that's a little nice. And now it's time to fire off Overlord, because we have the mana. Unfortunately, they get to be drawing cards with Fairy Mastermind, which is just disgusting, and then Disdainful Stroke the Overlord. So cards are not lining up well. As we can see. Take the Temple Lockdown. Decide to cast Sunfall into a 3 steps ahead. Yucky. However, we have Not on My Watch. We have another Sunfall. Like, you know, if they don't have cards with text in their hand, we could be okay. Perhaps Copium. Good old Phantom Interference. Let's try this again. And then we're just set on board, no matter what we hit. Game 3. In game 3. Keep a pretty medium hand, to be honest. We have to play this Cavern of Souls on 2 instead of Flood Farm. So we can for sure cast Overlord, because we need to cast Overlord. But then Overlord just totally fixes our mana, which is really nice. And we can play Overlord for like retail next turn, which is super cool. Mastermind we don't care about because we don't have an Up the Beanstalk. And they missed the 3rd land drop. So that feels really good. We'll just force them to have removal. And then we have a ton of mana now too. And they just missed a land drop again, even off of the Explorer, and just conceded. So we are 3-1. In round 5, we'll keep a pretty decent hand. A little choked up on white mana, but that's okay. Either playing mono red or Gruul. Looks like Gruul. Innkeeper's Talent and Heartfire Hero is a really sweet combo. I like that a lot. We hit the white mana, which is awesome. So that changes the plan a little bit. So now I'm going to Herd Migration for a Plains, and then untap Temporary Lockdown and 3-for-1 them. So we take a big hit, you know, here, but that's like totally fine. The Temp Lockdown is just absolutely disgusting. So that's just like decent sequencing and whatnot. Just play the Up the Beanstalk. We have access to Get Lost. It's possible you're supposed to Overlord there. Maybe playing Up the Beanstalk was greedy, because then we could have just white Overlorded and then played Zur. Yeah, maybe that was bad. I don't know. But we're just drawing into a removal after removal after removal. Oh, did we freeze up? Oh, okay, there we go. So I just play Overlord, get some more mana, leave that Get Lost up. And we're feeling fresh. It's going a little slow now. That in response to the Explorer. Snakes and Veil is pretty good. So now we just kind of butt clench a little bit. So we're gonna get hit for a bunch. But then, surviving this turn, we just get to Zur. Why do we not Zur there? I'm just trying to get the Skull Shift silliness. Could have gained so much life. Oh, I remember this play. I remember this play. So we, so if you Scroll Shift the Temporary Lockdown, everything comes back, but then we don't care. And so he's destroying my creatures thinking he's gonna win. Yeah, if I Zerd, I think I still lose. Now that I look at this. And so we're gonna Scroll Shift this Temporary Lockdown, because this is a better play against what my opponent did, which is a bunch of creatures. And it wipes their board, and now we gain a bunch of life. Now we win. It's such a sweet play. Opponent mulled to 5, which is unfortunate for them. We have Herd Migration fixing mana into Overlord fixing mana, which feels just great. Decided to grab the Plains so we can cast our spells. So Overlord is going to fix mana here anyway. They go deep into creatures. We have Sunfall, which is probably the choice here, especially with what creatures they have on the battlefield. Now we just get to big Overlord. If they decide to just go double removal spells so they can attack with Slick Shot, we have Not on My Watch. I don't know why the tokens keep blinking. It's super weird. Weird replay. Cast another Slick Shot. We decide to not attack. So we're just waking up this Incubator token. We draw Sunfall, so it's a little weird here. However, this is our last big chance to Sunfall before there's an Overlord on the battlefield. So it's a bit of a tough decision. Do decide to Sunfall. A little bit poor sequencing, because we should have just attacked there first, because we just kind of hemorrhaged some free damage. So that was definitely a mistake. But we get this Overlord. And they just see a bunch of cards with Questing Druid and concede. So we are 4-1. In the last round of Swiss, we keep. Was very close to a nut hand. We just need a green, an untapped green source, or even a tap green source, you know, this next turn. They're playing red, black, which, you know, these mid-range decks Domain has historically just beat up on. If we get any untapped land, we get to Overlord turn 3, Zur turn 4. Nut, which feels really good. Get to hit with Infamous Cruel Claw, get to do a bunch of stuff. Cast Overlords, like fine. Unfortunately, we didn't hit the untapped land, so we're just casting that Overlord. And now we can Zur this next turn, hopefully. Now we have a sweet Zur turn. We get a whole bunch of guys and opponents in trouble. Yeah, you deal with Zur. Still jamming. Opponent attacks with 2 menace creatures. This is a little awky. Me not having access to lifelink, you know, them dealing with Zur kind of hurts. Just looking at some more cards. We have Scroll Shift available. So we're threatening what is lethal or very close to lethal this next turn. Decided to put 1,000,000 creatures on the Cruel Claw. They just cast Overlord, or they impend Overlord to finish off the homie. I decide to Scroll Shift the Overlord to wake it up. And we get more triggers. Now we have Herd Migration. Still in step, we're able to deal with this Overlord. And we'll see what's what. Another Leyline Binding is really strong. I'm at 5. Decide to just cast this Herd Migration. So I don't think they have the burn spells to kill me from 5, and Beast tokens mean that the Menace land can't get through and all that stuff, and we win game 1. Game 2, in our probable winning in. We keep a pretty medium hand, to be honest. But that's okay, we have our colors. And almost every card in our deck is just insane against these mid-range decks. With the Hash Slinging Slasher. Decided to Leyline Binding it. It's possible I should have just not... Oh, you know, I remember having this conversation with myself. I decided to Leyline Binding it in case they, like, killed their own creature to keep the Hash Slinging Slasher. Yeah, we get lost to land, then they attack with a Flesh Gorger, then we can Not on My Watch, which is just disgusting. And we get a big old guy. We have 7 cards in hand. Like, I can't imagine what makes attacking with the Restless Fence correct besides just like 1,000,000 lands. Getting a little nervous because I didn't have a follow-up, though. Just deal with this guy. We're gonna get hit for a bunch with the Cunning Coyote, though. For some reason, didn't bring Cunning Coyote off of exile, so they could attack with the Overlord, so that was confusing. Maybe they just forgot about him. And that drop might have sealed it up. Like, it's up the beanstalk into Overlord to rebuild the board. Into action, which is just gross. Now we remembered Cunning Coyote. Do a Scroll Shift, like bleh. So we're just casting our Overlord. Decide just leave up scroll shift in case they have a removal spell. So you can just good old fashioned save the guy with the removal spell. They had exactly that. So we do. Get another trigger, draw a card, have blocker. We're at 7. We hit Zur and have up the Beanstalk in our hand. So we just like cast Zur, give things lifelink, start manning up big leyline bindings, and they just concede. So we're in top 8. First round of top 8. Keep D's hand. Any turn 2 up the Beanstalk hand feels really good. We have the get lost on leyline bindings as removal. We need to see more colors and mana for the leyline bindings. So it makes the creatures a little nerve-wracking. If I remember right, this was just straight mono red. I decided to ship the Sunfall because it's too slow. Plan on just going removal spell here. I decided to get lost before combat so they don't get the Manifold Mouse trigger, or the Emberheart Challenger trigger from Manifold Mouse. That opens up a little scariness, unfortunately, but we have these removal spells. And we're gonna try to draw into things. This one, it feels bad we don't have the Sunfall in our hand this turn, but it is what it is here. Life total's getting scary low, but we have double removal spell, which is kind of okay. Unfortunately, they still let a creature after double map token activation, but we draw more removal spells and we have blockers now, so things are feeling a little better, especially with scroll shift. So if we untap, then, you know, we get to do the thing. So we're planning on scroll shifting, seeing what we draw, and then we have Leyline Binding. Unfortunately, we couldn't cast Leyline Binding on 2 mana that last turn. So if they have no interaction, this like is just disgusting against their board. And then on end step, we get to Leyline Binding for realsies this time. Draw a bunch of cards, have a bunch of creatures. We can actually start attacking now. We're turning the corner. Decide to impend to start just to see what I draw. Just in case it's something a little better, because we're just going to impend 1, actually cast the other one. I go to 1, so it's a bit of a butt clench. We're going to start applying pressure. They need to not have a burn spell. And they didn't have it, so we're up a game. I probably should have mulliganed this in game 2. This is no action. Like I said, this is nothing against this deck. I don't know, this is a decent blind keep, but this was not blind. This is game 2. And opponent has a really fast start. And the get loss is kind of nice. Only really saves 2 damage here. And they just go shields down. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Urbrass Fords, weirdly enough, I was relieved to see because I could have just been dead that turn. I decided to put a blocker on the battlefield though. And we're just dead. Game 3. In game 3, we keep a fine hand. I had to think on this one for a sec. But surveilling that temporary lockdown to the top just made it feel so much better. So much better. We're hoping for a creature draw here. We did get a creature draw. So now we can temporary lockdown on 3, Overlord on 4, and then Zur on 5 if we hit a swamp. We really want an untapped black source. Like something fierce. So I'd just take it. The untap land at all would have been nice there. But we have double get loss and a blocker. So we're feeling okay. Hit that so they can't get the manifold mouse trigger. They can't really attack, but they did. So it was like block. And then why didn't I get loss? It's a little weird. Really not sure why I didn't get lost on instep. Might have been a mistake. Oh no. Just get lost this. Really want a black source? Please? Should have been more specific, because that is a black source. But now we have 2 blockers, and then next turn, they both get lifelink with Zur. Opponent's in a lot of trouble. Decide to take it so that we can still gain life next turn. And it's kind of just over. Yep, and we're in top 4. Like I said at the top of the video, we lost this game to a misclick. Felt really, really bad. The misclick's very, very obvious because it was a super... what you're going to watch is a very, very tight game. And then I just cast an Up the Beanstalk in my hand instead of cast a Sunfall, even though I'd fully intended to cast a Sunfall. So I don't have a lot of commentary on this game, so I'm just going to let you guys watch it. That's probably bad sequencing. Probably should have heard migrated into Up the Beanstalk that turn as I'm watching this. Leyline Binding on the token, so we have the option to scroll shift, which is kind of cute. And I was a little worried about like pump spells or things like that, but I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have taken all that. Okay, this here's the, wait. Maybe it wasn't exactly that turn. Maybe it was the next Sunfall. So I'm still feeling really, really good. So we still have like scroll shift on either Overlord or Leyline Binding to like deal with stuff. Yep, scroll shift to Leyline Binding. Just take an amount of damage. Then we just cast the Up the Beanstalk. Yeah, so I cast the first Up the Beanstalk, and then second Up the Beanstalk was meant to be a Sunfall. And then we just die. That was so frustrating. Desperation chump block. Man, that felt bad. Also, I don't know if you guys are paying that much attention, but if you look at our opponent's name, this is our only loss in Swiss as well. We mulligan. Keep a not a great hand. And you're just gonna watch this get nutted out on. Just feels so bad. So bad. Yeah. Hurts. Should be up a game. And it's over. Brutal. Brutal. Did not want to relive that top 4 match. That hurt. But if you like these analysis of good results, then please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.